Hey Charlie, I was just I was just setting up the recording. I think that's working. Can you
How
hear
are
me?
ya? You're right.
Oh,
You're looking very dapper.
wow. Time to be a grown up. I think I've set up the recording. Um, Let me just double check here. How are you?
I'm really good, thanks. I've had a really relaxing morning, just what I needed actually. Uh, bit nervous about this call, but that's just me. Whenever I do anything like this, I get nerves, but that's okay. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see.
Are you in class now?
Yeah, Emma's just getting them all checked in, building the container.
That's fabulous news. Please give her my love.
I must check them in. Oh, she's all wide-eyed. Please log in. Right, let's have a look. I think it's working. How are you otherwise?
I'm really good, thanks. I'm really good. Yeah, I had that slight trigger yesterday morning, but apart from that, I'm good. There's nothing really. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this call. Oh, I went down the Ken Wilber route. Oh no, what has he done? What has he done? You know when you go into something and then you instantly connect and you're like, this is gonna be massive. So this morning was an hour and a half podcast moment, a video I've watched with him about the 12 levels of intelligence. 12 state, what is it 12 stages or something, man? Intelligence or whatever.
Right. Are you the host now?
Yes, it says I'm the host, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it looks like it's still recording. You should see the participants starting to come in. All right. Um, in the chat here,
Yep, and chats.
I'm going to. There is all the self-study stuff. Does that
Yep.
link open for you?
Are you still there? Oh, I
Yep.
took off. I thought I took you off there. Yeah, it's opened.
All right. And then if you click enroll, and then you put in the
Enroll,
code
yeah.
Ubuntu, U capital U BUNTU,
Uh-huh.
it should make it the price at zero.
Just a sec. Let me just uh oh, cancel. Can't even spell. How do you spell Ubuntu?
UBUNTU.
Yeah, Ubuntu. That's it. Yeah, it's done it, David. Right, how do I go back in now? There we are. Yeah, done that.
Well done. All right, so somebody's at the front door. I just heard the doorbell.
Yeah, had that. Yeah, close that. Liam's in.
Where? Oh, there we go. Right. I'll leave my phone on.
Okay, bro.
If there's a problem, just give me a call.
Ah, well, no problem. I don't foresee there being a problem, but I will. Thanks, David.
Bye.
Bye, bye. Hmm. Ay, ay, ay. Hmm. Hmm. Mi- We got James. Hello, James.
Hello there. How are you?
You need to take roar off and put we do recover.
Quite right, actually. I should change that, shouldn't I? How we do that?
Hello, Chris.
Morning, matey. How are you?
Not bad. How's yourself? Out with
Doing
Taracy?
good, sir. There's something gone wrong with my car, and of course, when you look at Google, there's about 18 things it can be.
Yeah. Dr. Google,
Yeah.
Engineer Google, did Google. Morning, Jamil.
Morning, morning, guys.
Morning, matey.
Morning, morning. How's everyone today?
I'm a little bit nervous because David's got me holding space this morning. So I've did just quite a lot of things, but it still doesn't hold the nerves.
Oh, okay. So,
You'll do fantastic.
Thanks, Chris. So we'll wait another couple of minutes and see who comes in.
The P6 lot are always late anyway.
Are they?
Yes.
Isn't it nice to get a bit of sunshine?
Yes, it's beautiful.
Isn't it? Doesn't it just change your whole flavor and everything? Doesn't it? It just like, ah,
yeah, it does. Definitely does. See, happy.
like um,
Makes you
even
feel
yeah,
happy.
Jamil. I
Everyone
I
just seems
don't
to have a
think
smile on the face.
what's that?
Everyone just seems to have a smile on the face with the
Yeah,
sunshine.
it changes the dynamics, man, doesn't it?
100%. Well, it does in Britain because it's such a rare occasion.
And we're driving up deep north. I'm driving over the wall. Three people. Oh, three people waiting to get in. I've not. Who's come in? No. Ah, there we are. Hi, Anthony.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Not bad, mate.
Afternoon.
Hi, Tom.
Hello.
Hello, mate. We have Alex and Liam on mute. Okay, so David has kindly asked me to hold space today because he's in Middlesbrough training Recovery Connections on the 3-day intensive training. So you've got the substitute from the amateur bench joining the ranks. So this is my first trial. I'm coming off the bench as Damien's coming in. Well, we've got Damien coming in. Hello, Damien.
Hi, Anthony.
Hey Mayor, how you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Yeah, all right, thanks.
Good.
Hi, Liam. Is that Project 6 here all getting ready? Project 6 is in the room, is in the house. Hi, guys.
You're on the camera or not? Lovely.
Damien, are you holding the second space after the interval? Is it me, Andrew, that's been asked to hold space, or is that what David says, or is it just myself?
Did you just say that to me?
Yeah,
Yeah, that is what he said. Yeah.
yeah. So should I do the first half and then maybe hand it over to you for the second half?
Yeah, sure. Okay. That
Is
sounds good.
is that okay?
Okay.
Project 6, are you ready?
Very nearly.
Okay. So just to let you know, as I've already said, when David is through in Middlesbrough doing the 3-day intensive training with Recovery Connections, so you've got his substitute from the amateurs bench coming in for a trial run here. So we go with the 3 C's. We go with contract. So we're going to contract Emma for the next hour. I will contract Emma for the next hour, and then I'll hand it over to David. And then we've got the container, which is a safe space. And then we alternately maybe check in with a feeling. So, who would like to check in first? Jamil, do you want to check in first, brother?
Yeah, picking on me. Jamal here, I'm checking in. Not feeling the best today. I've had a bit of a funny week. I've been it's been a bit, I wouldn't say stressful, but been around a lot of people. I've been traveling quite a bit as well. I don't really know how I feel really, to be honest. But I'm glad that I'm here today and um, with different type of people that I've been around. So yeah, happy to be here. Hopefully by the end of the session, I'll feel a lot more upbeat and motivated after being in the container with you guys. And I would like to tag Damien.
Thanks, Jamal. And good to know where you're at. I'm feeling good this morning, in my mind and spirit, but my body is just shutting down. So I've had shingles this week, which if anyone's had that, that's pretty painful. It's a kind of adult version of chicken pox. And I've had a flare up of a psoriasis condition, and I've got a terrible headache this morning. So I don't know what's going on. Apparently, my body's telling me I'm pushing it too hard, but I don't feel that. Like I don't feel. And maybe it's in my nature to always think I should be doing more and I should be doing more. So I don't feel like I'm working very hard at all at the moment, but my body's telling me otherwise. Anyway, but other than that, I'm in spirit. I'm feeling pretty buoyant this morning. So yeah, that's me, and I will tag Chris, please.
Cheers, Damien. Yeah, I'm not feeling too bad. Apart from the car, I've got to get the AA to come out because apparently it's one of 18,000 things that could be wrong with it. And trying to find out what it is a ball ache. So I'll tag Project 6. And I'll tag Stan. Go on, mate.
Morning, I'm Stan. I'm checking in as always, slightly apprehensive. The sun's out here, so I think it puts everybody in a good mood. It's Tuesday now. I didn't do a lot yesterday, so it's kind of been a 3-day weekend. So I'm feeling recharged, ready to go, and looking forward to today. And I'm just going to swing straight to my right and tag Dom.
Hi, Dom. Checking in today. I feel well rested and quite enthusiastic about today. I'll pass to me right to Zoe.
Hi, morning everybody. I'm good this morning. I'm a little frustrated over friendships this morning. You've had a little bit of food for thought last night, and that's sort of weighing on my mind. But besides that, I'm really good. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Tim. Checking in. I'm okay, I suppose. Headbutting with my daughter over living conditions. But I'm the boss because I'm a dad, and I'm always right. But sometimes. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Nice to be here. Thank you. Freddie.
Hi, I'm Freddie. Checking in, feeling a little bit scattered today, but generally good. I've had a quite a long time off, so readjusting is a bit of a challenge, I think. I'll tag Alex.
Hello everybody, thank you everybody for sharing. I got triggered this morning. I got caught up in my own thoughts about what I thought were true, things that were happening in my world. I'm a human being still, I realise. No matter how much I think I might be getting close to being an enlightened soul or whatever that is. I definitely weren't in car this morning, effing and jeffing, screaming and shouting. Really, like, that's not happened for like maybe like 2 years, but it came on me this morning like fuck knows what. So I'm in a really activated, triggered state. That's my truth. And it feels quite edgy to share it because there's people here on my left and there's people on this screen here that I can hardly see and hear. That's thing. So you don't feel that contained, where I feel totally safe to honor my truth. So I'm doing my best. But I know that on the other hand, I could speak a different reality into existence. And I spent some time with Stan this morning, and none of that were relevant. It didn't come up, did it? We had a beautiful conversation about some work that we're doing. So I'm only speaking it into existence again now because I can't really think of what else to say. But it's only true when my language and my communication makes it so. So I'm manifesting something that happened about an hour ago. So it's a dicey one, isn't it? But that's me. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Alex. Who are you tagging, Alex?
Oh, am I tagging? I'll tag Tom.
Hi. Yeah, I'm all right. my contract for my job ended yesterday,
No.
which was a little bit sad, but I'm going back to volunteering and I'm going to focus on my recovery coaching and smart groups. And yeah, I'm feeling all right.
Thanks, Tom. Who are you tagging, Tom?
It wasn't. I'll tag James.
Folks. Yeah, so I'm feeling pretty infused actually at the moment. Although slightly under a veil of antihistamines, because much as the sunshine is beautiful and I love it and it really improves my mood, the flowers and the trees, they hate me, and I don't understand what I've done to upset them so much. But it's kind of, yeah, it slowed me down a little bit. So I'm like, there's a bit kind of like a 1 second lag in everything I'm doing. Like, but other than that, pretty good. Let's tag Lisa. Hi, Lisa.
Good morning. Hello, James. Nice to see you. And obviously everyone else. I'm okay, thank you. I'm kind of got broken boiler at the moment, so I've got up really early this morning to go and get a shower somewhere. You really appreciate showers when you can't have them. But other than that, yeah, I'm kind of ready to get my head in the game. It's only the second week I've kind of come back into this, so I've kind of been reacquainting myself with stuff. So yeah, that's where I am today. Is there anybody that hasn't been?
Anthony and
Yeah.
Liam.
Okay, I will tag in Anthony then.
Thank you. I am enrolled on the course now, so grateful to be here. But I think this morning, I suffer from PTSD nightmares, and I'm living 2 lives at the minute. So I'm living recovery in the day, but through the night, I'm having these lucid dreams of my past. So I'm feeling a bit all over the place this morning. I didn't sleep too well. But I'm all right. I'm awake now and back to reality. But just a bit all over the place this morning, I think. I'm sure it will be fine as time goes by. That's all I have really. Other than that, I'm all right. Over to you, Liam.
Good morning, everyone. I am feeling really well today. I have beautiful sunshine here in Sunderland and had a good night's rest. Yeah, everything's going well for me at the moment, today, this morning, right now.
Thanks, Liam. And Liam tags Charlie.
I tagged Charlie.
I am checking in with nervous excitement. I've been holding the containers for a while, but whenever I'm thrown in, I just go into a bag of nerves, and then my humor comes up because of my anxiety. I'm like, I just want to tell inappropriate jokes, man, just to tell you how nervous I am, So what happens now is the agenda comes from the container, or the agenda comes from the client or the person. Has anybody got anything that they'd like to bring this morning that we could support or we could chat about? That's an open question.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, sorry, you go.
No, honestly, you go, because I don't know how I feel about sharing at the moment about this thing, so yeah, you go for it.
Okay then. Yeah, I'll talk about homework actually that I set myself since last Tuesday, and it was active listening. I was around my girlfriend's family and over the weekend and earlier on in the week, I was helping a neighbor with some things as well. And also my brother at the moment, he's trying to get through recovery. So active listening was a task that I set myself. And what I found, I don't know anyone else feels about this, but when you're dealing with people that are really close to you and you're trying to support them, I feel that it takes a toll on you more than if you were dealing with strangers or people that you know loosely. So what I found is this past week, it is it's been quite hurtful to hear some of the things that I heard. And it is it's been hard to sleep. It's been hard to focus on things. And I almost feel like I wish that I didn't set myself that homework. But I couldn't help, I thought to myself, well, you become sort of a therapist or a counselor, or recovery coach of any type. And when you're dealing with, or, when your clients is someone that you don't know, I assume that it's easier to sort of take on the things that someone else is dealing with, and you supporting them as people that you don't know rather than people that you know. So that was just something that I recognized this last week, and it's sort of taken its toll on me, and it's given me it's it's sort of brought back my own trauma and my own experiences. And it's something that I suppose in the future, becoming a recovery coach is something I would have to be mindful of, not to take things back home with me from work. Yeah, so that's really all I wanted to sort of put into the container.
Thanks, Jamil. Emma, would you mind if I just share a wee bit what I've been through over the weekend? Would you mind? Just on the back of that, Jamil, I've got a brother and a sister who are in deep addiction, deep addiction, heroin, crack, cocaine, and they're at a level that's just like, it's a tornado. And my mother phones me, I'm constantly looking for me to try and fix it because she knows I do recovery coaching, you know. And I found it extraordinary and difficult that that I can speak to other people, about recovery and stuff. But when it comes to my family, it seems as if I can't do anything. I can't do anything. And even though I can help from a distance, I need to protect my recovery man as well. I need to protect me because when they're in a whirlwind and they are far from wanting to help and be helped. So for me at the moment, where I am in that, it's like I can be there for my mum, but as I go in, I want to go in and fix, but that's not my job. And my job is to listen to my mum actually, and just be there for her. And while I'm there in this my whirlwind of absolute madness and chaos, but it's very, very difficult, extremely difficult. So my thanks if I let me share that, Jamil. Open the container. Does anybody else have anything to share on the same sort of lines as me and Jamil?
Yeah, I used to be a personal assistant for a close friend, and I mean, it's the fact of working with someone you're very close to, and over time, he had weight problems and stuff, and he had to go to certain meetings and what have you, and he was so resistant that in the end it became clear that we had to find someone else to do the personal assistant's job, someone who wasn't so close, because he just wouldn't talk to a stranger like the way he talks to me.
Uh-huh.
I mean, as hard as it is, sometimes you have to let go and find a different option.
This topic resonates with me. I have a friend who is having a really difficult time at the moment, and I stupidly tried to be a friend as well as using the mentor skills, and that has not worked out at all. And last night it sort of came to a head, and that person got quite angry at me, even though something that's happened is not my fault. And I think having that emotional attachment to someone is, if you've got it, you don't use these skills with them because it's too much. You're not unbiased, and your emotions, my emotions felt attacked. I felt attacked as a person. Their actions towards me subsequently have shown how upset they are with me, and that's triggered me. And it's a really difficult thing to do. And I think this is why, as professionals, you don't do it. And it's why you are transparent about whether you do know people or whether you've got a history with them, because you can't work effectively with them if you have got that emotional attachment. I've definitely learned a lesson that I really need to take a step back and a step away from this person and let them essentially do their own thing. I can no longer help, which is sad, but I need to make the decision to cover myself, stay in my lane, and put them and their agenda to one side. And that's I found that really difficult this morning, really difficult. But also I know my boundaries, and I know that I've got to essentially say, fuck it, for want of a better word. Fuck it, it's not my circus, they're not my monkeys. I need to protect and guard myself and my family and my children, because that's who I'm staying well for. That's why I'm in recovery, and I can't have anybody else laying all that stuff on me, because I'm still not in a great place to deal with it. But it's a bit of a harsh reality this morning that I found.
Thank you.
Is it okay if I come in?
Yeah, please.
I think I've had a tricky time with my family. I went up to Middlesbrough last weekend. That's why I wasn't on the thing last week. And my siblings struggle with addiction. My sister has moved home after 20 years. And the one thing I said to her before moving back to Middlesbrough is that what's coming, look out for yourself, and she was adamant she wasn't going to fall back into it, but her partner's kicked her out twice now, and she was drinking. Her drinking was out of control around the kids and around me and my brother, and I think it would have been very easy for me to, now that I've been in treatment and I'm in recovery, to be like as the bigger brother, but I guess as the lady said previous, it's, you have to I'm still in early recovery and I have to put myself first. And I just said, if you need me, call me anytime, And on the opposite end of the scale, my parents live abroad. And Mother's Day, my dad sent me some pictures saying, I bought your mum some flowers. And next to the flowers, he's like, I got her a bottle of vodka and a bottle of wine from you and your siblings. Now, my parents drink a lot. I think my mum's an alcoholic. She drinks all day and night. And, she messaged me on Mother's Day afternoon. They'd sent me pictures of them drinking, saying, Happy Mother's Day, and then she's saying, I can't settle, I'm depressed. What can I do? You know what to do now. And I'm like, well, I know what to do for myself. Like everyone's things work for other people, and I said, ultimately, I want to say, well, if you're drinking and smoking or vaping all through the night because she doesn't sleep, you know, how if nothing changes, nothing changes, you know. But obviously, I can't say that because there's that emotional attachment. Not a lot with my parents, but you know, still, it's like people. Yeah, you just have to look after yourself and do what's right for my recovery at the minute. And you know, I can give a bit of advice, but yeah, it's a lot because I want to try and fix it, but you know, I know that it's not my place now, and it's just, you know, I don't know when any of that ends for my family, but it's just looking after myself, and as the lady in the previously, you know, I'm working my own recovery so that I can be a good parent and, you know, be a upstanding citizen of some in some capacity, you know, and I think that's just what I have to focus on right now. But I guess that's my experience the last few weeks. And you know, going back to Middlesbrough in general, you know, the addiction is I went bowling in Middlesbrough town centre and Captain Cook Square. Charlie might know it.
I know it, yeah.
You know, it's quite a scary place to go on a Saturday afternoon. You know, I sat and had food in the restaurant opposite, so we could people watching, and the people that, you know, you can just see that addiction is rife and everywhere, but you're just powerless to it. It's, you know, yeah, it was a tough old trip up north, but you know, I'm here today. I'm working on my own recovery by doing this.
Thanks, Anthony.
Can I offer? Go ahead,
on, Liam.
Damien. Go ahead, Damien.
Okay, I was just going to say a few things came up for me this morning. Thanks everyone for sharing. I think it's a really interesting topic. First thing I was thinking as Jamal was telling the scenario is I've definitely found that the skills that I learn on this coaching course and corresponding skills I've been learning on a counseling course that I've been doing, which active listening, empathetic responses, open questions, you know, they make me a better person. They make me a better person to talk to in a professional context or in a personal context. So, you know, I've found myself also trying to use those conversational skills in personal contexts. And I think that's a good thing. In a professional context, as it were, I think that there are kind of clear boundaries. So, and I think this is what Zoe's said and others have said, you know, when you know, when you're faced with someone who actually is seeking help or wants help, you know, we would normally make a referral to someone else because we're too close to the situation. And I think that's kind of important. So it's great. We've got a group of us here, and you know, if I had a personal friend or a family member that wanted coaching or, you know, or wanted counseling, I would refer them to someone else. I can't possibly take them on. And I've noticed is I have a brother whose marriage is falling apart at the moment. So he's in a form of crisis, and talking to him at the weekend, you know, I tried to do all the active listening, and I was doing all the active listening, but bloody hell, it's hard to stop frapping when it's your family member, because I know him, I know exactly what he needs to do, and you know who he needs to see and all the rest, and it's pretty hard to kind of keep myself out of that, you know. And I suppose the other thing that came up for me, particularly around family members or friends that are in addiction crisis, is kind of like it's their journey. And I think, again, this has come up, you know, in other people's shares, like we can't fix everyone, and we have to allow people their journeys. And we would do it in the context of our peer support groups as well, you know. Ultimately, there's that detachment when you don't know someone, you allow them to go through whatever they need to go through to be ready. And if someone's not ready, there's absolutely nothing I can say that's going to get them to be ready. Just as if someone is ready, there's almost nothing I can say wrong, you know. But I think that becomes really hard, you know, as Jamal, as you've brought to the group, you know. It becomes really hard when it's a family member and you really want them to fix themselves. But yeah, so there's my thoughts on what's been shared. I think yeah, you know, if someone is seeking help, make a professional referral to someone else, you know.
Go to Liam. Liam, thanks, Damien.
Yeah, I'm going to almost ditto everything Damien just said. I'll add a couple of things in there. You know, I just over the years of doing this work in the Matt Talbot Center in Seattle, and my own work and work with my family, one of the things that's really, really important to understand is the concept of family systems. Anytime we're dealing with family members, we're in a family system. And because we are on a path of recovery, we have removed ourselves from that family system. But when we engage with the family, they want us to be back in the family system, in the role that we had before we started a path of recovery. And so there'll always be this tug of war. Well, an expectation, you could say, from them about how come you're not doing this or how come you're not doing that. These are all kind of hidden expectations in this relationship world that we're in with our family members. And so that's just something that we need to stay aware of. The only way that we can really work with that is to be an observer in their process. It, just as Damien said, it is their journey. And unfortunately, it's easier on us to be an observer of their journey and not get involved in the journey, because otherwise you get sucked right back into the family system. And sometimes you get triggered like you had said, I'm sorry, I can't remember your name, but you can get triggered like you were with your friend last night or yesterday. We can get triggered quite easily, unexpectedly, because of these kind of family systems that get created. And also, like Damien was saying, there's this level of acceptance that I think I came to in my own life, and that they are being the way they are being because they are being the way they are being. It's a phrase that I've been using for a long time. That allows me to see them for who they really are in the place that they are without me being involved in it at all. And their behavior is their behavior because it's their behavior. It has nothing to do with me. They're in addiction. I'm in recovery, two different pathways. And so having this level of acceptance, number one, there isn't anything I can do for them. Not as their friend, not as their, I stopped. I've had numerous friends who have gone through their own path journey, who, no matter what I said or offered to them, it fell on deaf ears, mostly for what we all know is that they weren't ready. And even when they are ready, there's a trust mechanism between friends that does exist with professionals when they come to a professional and they're talking about their recovery. There is an offering of trust that's accepted by the person who is seeking recovery in the professional environment that may not exist in the friendship family environment. And so if we can be in acceptance and completely let go of that this is their journey, there's nothing for us in it. really, there's nothing for us in it. When they're in a path of recovery, there's the possibility of a new friendship or a new relationship or a new, but until then, because we're in recovery and they are not, there's not a possibility for that sort of relationship. So there's nothing in it for us while they're not in recovery, while they're not engaged. So taking on this level of acceptance that everything is exactly the way it is and there's nothing I can do about it, and becoming an observer has helped me let go of the idea that there's anything for me to do whatsoever. I nowadays, I don't do anything. And I haven't lost any friends yet, fortunately, but I've lost 3 members of the Matt Talbot Center. You've probably heard the phrase that everybody has their own bottom. And their bottom is wherever it is. We don't know where it is. And until they reach that bottom, they're going to behave exactly their way they're going to behave. And there's nothing we can do about it. Nothing that we can do about it. It's sad. It's brought me to tears many, many times. But there isn't anything we can do about it until they hit that bottom and decide that a path of a life of recovery is for them. There's nothing we can do about it. And I had to get to that level of acceptance that this is the way it is for them. And I'm an observer of their lives.
Thank you, Liam. That was fantastic. And thank you. Now let's go to the quiet voices now. Let's start with James. James?
I don't know if I have anything to add to that, really, because I think most of the cases have been quite clear. There is a difference between professional and personal relations, and something that I'm always very acutely aware of is also not to bring my own set of judgments to within things. So because I find that I might struggle with certain scenarios doesn't necessarily mean that that everybody else around me is as well. And there was a bit sort of early on in my recovery where I was kind of in danger of being a little bit preachy. And that was pointed out to me by a friend of mine. He said, you needed to do this. I don't feel as though I need to do this. So I'd appreciate it if you didn't bring that to my table. I said, at that point I was still a little preachy. I was like, did that make you feel uncomfortable then? Does that mean, are you looking at the amount of things that you drink or drugs you take or whatever? And he was like, yeah, I've thought about it, and I'm fine, thank you. And that was the end of that. That drew a complete line underneath that conversation, and we still remain friends. But obviously, there's a limit to the actions or the time spent. I might do like an hour and a half with them, and then as things start to kind of like descend a bit, I politely make my exit and move on. But yeah, that was the only thing to sort of add to that. Is to be cautious of our own standpoints and not necessarily assuming that makes us either right or in some way morally superior or any of those things, because it's a sticky line. Yeah.
Thanks, James. We'll go with Chris.
Yeah. So from in reference to like family and friends, I think there's a massive fine line in between being empathetic and showing empathy and easily just getting sucked into trying to fix them straight away, and you've already got these prejudgments in your head because you're more critical when it's your own, if that makes sense. Or to me it is, but yeah, that's all I can relay.
Thanks, Chris. Who have we got? Tom?
I can't really think of anything to add. There's been
all right. All right, Tom. Thanks very much, mate. Let's go to the voices Project 6 who haven't spoken.
I will just add that, there's loads to speak about from this. but I wouldn't be where I am today if I'd not suffered. It's only it's the suffering that made that chink of light come in when I had a really intense mystical experience, which was my pathway. Everyone's got a different path. That was my pathway. It was like a one moment where I just woke up to something. But that only happened because I was suffering so much that, like, I just surrendered something inside myself and dropped it, and it's dropped. So I wouldn't be who I am today in this room with everybody, forming these relationships, working on myself daily, had it not been for that suffering. So if someone came along and tried to take that suffering away from me, why would you do that? Don't do that. That's my gateway. That's my key to the kingdom. I need to suffer. So sometimes the best thing we can do is like keep suffering. You're not ready. Go away. Go and fuck up. Go and suffer. Go and feel pain. Experience it. And maybe you'll get to that opening. And if not, it's not a barrier. We can still love people for who they are, like my mum, right? That's a difficult one for me. But I keep showing up to it and keep practicing surrender, like, okay, don't try and change her. Don't try and change her. Just accept what she says is what she says, and just to love her from that place. Like, I don't need any conditions in place for me to open my heart to this woman. So it's a bit of it's kind of counterintuitive to say let people suffer, because we're so used to like, oh, are you okay? Come on, don't cry. You'll be okay. Let me give you some advice. Advice. And so some more advice. This is what I think you should do. You know, drive-by advice giving. No one's asking for it. No, we don't have permission. Where's the permission? Have I got your permission to give you this advice? Probably not. So shut up. Don't say anything. We're all out there like trying to like rescue each other and like and ease suffering, but we live in a universe, and we live on a planet that's full of suffering. Open your eyes. It's everywhere. Show me the people that are not suffering. You only have to look on a TV and you'll see it. So let's get rid of program and suffer.
Thanks, Alex.
Tim, can I just say, I've got a stepdaughter who's in her 30s who has a gambling addiction. Now, the work I'm in or that I'm volunteering in is substance abuse rather than gambling, but it's the same sort of thing that goes on in the brain. Because she's my stepdaughter and I've known her since she was born, I found it very difficult, and just like we've all said, it doesn't work giving advice or trying to coach somebody who's a family or friend. So what I've done is collate information from other agencies and advised her to go and I've given her the information, contact names and numbers, and I've left it with her, because if I try to do it, A, I know nothing about gambling, or very little, and B, it's family. I just can't do it. I don't see how it can work at all. You become too emotionally involved in it. You remember them when they were that big, and now they're that big, and you know all the foibles.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. So I feel sorry for one or two of you, like Jamil, who's mentioned that they're in a quandary of what to do. I just don't think you can possibly do it. You've got to pass it on.
Yeah.
You've got a conflict of interest, definitely.
Thank you.
And then sometimes we can have like we can get attached to that. So I've got to look at myself. So I'm giving you this information. Am I expecting now that you go and do something with that information? And if you don't, then I'm going to judge you. I had an agenda that you would do it, and now I'm disappointed. I put my expectation on you.
Exactly, and I've got to hold that back. Not doing that.
Yeah, right.
Saying, you're a big girl now. Go and do it for yourself, because they've got to want, like in any addiction, they've got to want to do it. They've got to have that light bulb. So,
yeah. Thank you.
Charlie, can I add a little something real quick?
Oh, please, yeah. Please come in, Liam.
You were mentioning suffering and seeing other people in their suffering. And what came to mind is this question, why do I want to give them advice in the first place? Is it for me or is it for them? Am I so uncomfortable with their suffering that if I give them advice and see that they stop suffering, then I feel better? So my own discomfort with other people's suffering drives me to give them advice on how to stop their suffering so that I don't suffer about their suffering.
Yes.
It's a good
And
point,
if we
that
can take
Liam. Really good point.
if we can take it on that we're just they're suffering and we're observers of their suffering and offer them the, Buddha talks about suffering is the attachment is a source of all suffering. And the way to stop suffering is to let go. And so when another person is in their own suffering, we become an observer of their suffering without being attached to their suffering and who they are, if that makes sense.
Thank you, Liam. Has Freddie went in Project 6? Is it Freddie? I'm sorry, is that? Yeah. Do you want to bring something in?
Actually, been reflecting a lot on what people have been saying, and it definitely mirrors a lot of the work that I was doing in terms of my own recovery and sort of therapy, in terms of only taking responsibility for what's mine and allowing others to do the same. And it's definitely been impactful to sort of hear it in this way, because we hear it a lot, sort of that urge, that need to fix, to save, it's often framed through like a helpful lens, but ultimately there's like boundaries, that lack of self-respect, there's a lack of and the ego is very present in a lot of those interactions, and it can be damaging to a relationship to sort of center yourself in that way, because it's blocking a level of compassion, another person able to take agency, and it's I think I think a lot of people naturally reach for that urge to fix and want to be helpful, and it comes through good intentions, but ultimately it's self-sacrificial, whether it's to yourself or to the relationship. I don't know. I think it's just this sort of session, this talk has just given me a lot of hope, and sort of learning that I've done for myself. And I'm grateful for being so willing to be so vulnerable in this space.
Thanks, Freddie. Have we lost Project 6? My screen's just shifted. My screen's just went. Have we lost them?
Yeah, they just dropped out.
Ah! So what we'll do, we will bring this back to Jamil and ask Jamil. Jamil, what have you learned in this last hour, mate? Since it was your question, mate. It was you that started this.
Yeah, it's been a good it's been good to listen to others that sort of echo the same I guess position that I have, and how I feel about it. I'm not the only one, and some good advice there as well from people as well. And I think that's something that you learn in coaching as well. That if there's anything that I was trying to say, it's good to refer people on. If you can't help someone, then refer them on to someone else that can, if possible. And yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Family and friends, it's best to just, I think, listen, be there for them, listen to them, but try not to get too involved. I think is the best policy. and yeah, look out for yourself. Look out for your own well-being as well, I think is the message here today.
Thanks, Jamil. Lisa, are you there? I've completely missed you out.
So I am here. I'm listening. I haven't really got anything to add, to be honest with you. I kind of, I kind of agree. I do very much agree that you kind of need to look after yourself before helping other people. And kind of, it's a difficult one with a family situation, isn't it? And like friends, because you can kind of, I think you have to keep it as a friend thing. You kind of, you do have some experience that you can share, but it's a difficult area regarding the coaching side of it, isn't it?
Definitely. Thank you, Lisa. And we'll have a quick check out and then I'll hand it over to Damien. I think this is where we lose Project 6, is that right? Or do you go into your coaching yourself, Alex?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
We're gonna get together and do some coaching now.
All right, thanks, guys. So if Project 6 want to check out first, quick check out of a feeling, then we'll go around.
I'm checking out as I enjoyed today's session. A lot of things really hit home. I think the thing that came up that most people said is protect yourself. Protect yourself, protect yourself, protect yourself. Without your own recovery, you're no good to anybody, are you? So it's, I was guilty of thinking the more people I helped, the easier my recovery would be. And at some point, you've got to take that step and think, right, this is professional, this is my recovery, and never the twain shall meet. And you've got to, if you're feeling vulnerable at all, that is the time to step back and protect yourself. And I'm going to swing to my right and my mate Dom.
Thanks, pal.
Hi, Dom, checking out. Just very similar to Stan. It is very obvious that everyone agrees that we need to take that step back, that we can't get involved with personal relationships. And it is one of the rules when you're in a workplace that you at least make someone aware of a personal relationship. If you are going to continue, there has to be agreement on both sides. So yeah, just it's taking that step back, which can be difficult, which is important, isn't it?
Thanks, pal.
And Zoe?
Zoe?
I'm just living and breathing self-care, and it's not being selfish, it's self-care. Even when people think you're being selfish, it's still self-care. So that's what I'm living and breathing from now on. Thank you.
Thanks, Zoe.
I'm Tim. I've learned from today as well. Somebody mentioned about, are we wanting to rescue somebody else, or are we thinking about ourselves? And I definitely think about myself because it helps me as well, but I want to help other people. So it's a combination of both, but you've got to have a balancing act. I think you've got to be professional. If you're coaching somebody, you've got to remain professional.
Thanks, pal.
Thank you.
Yeah, Alex checking out by saying, I don't know what anybody needs. I don't know what they need, but I can ask them. I can ask them what they need or what they want or how I can serve in that moment, but I can't presume that I know what they need.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
Freddie, checking out, feeling.
Freddie, how's you feeling?
It's given me a lot to think about. It's definitely a challenge in this area of work. It sort of comes through sort of self-awareness and self-reflection when you can identify and be able to advocate for yourself in a way that means you can protect yourself and love yourself in a way that means that you can recognize that you're worthy of that as well. That you know that you can choose whether to help or support people. It's an active choice whether you sacrifice your time and energy, or you give your time or energy, whether it's a sacrifice or not. I mean, we have limited energy supplies, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's been interesting. Thank you.
Thanks, Project 6. See you guys next week. Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
Charlie. See you.
Freddie tags James.
Oh no.
So checking out with uh,
See you later, guys.
just a bit interest really. 'Cause it kind of resonates with some of the conversations I've been having in more like interpersonal relationships, and a bit of a game changing thing that kind of stops the what you need to do is, and the unnecessary advising thing that I found in my relationships is just to ask almost from the outset, do you want compassion or do you want solution? And that's I think that's an important distinction to make between. So this kind of conversation resonates with a bit of that. And I will tag on to Anthony.
Thanks, guys. I will check out with, I think interest and lots resonating with a lot of what people are saying. I guess listening to what people are saying, what I tend to do when I go into those situations is is by giving my time, is this situation going to take me closer or further away from relapse? And I think I judge a lot of my daily, like risk, it's like risk assessment, and that's, I have to look after myself, and I guess hearing other people's perspectives, that helps with that, and lots of knowledge to be taken away from what people were sharing. So I'm grateful for that. Thank you. I will tag Chris.
Yeah, so from today, I think I'll be taking away, it's just having the confidence to actually step back and say, right, I'm not actually going to be the right person to help you with this, and signpost them, and you're doing that best for them, and you're doing it best for you, and not thinking that you've let them down, that you're actually doing the best for them, as however hard it may be, especially if it's family members. So I'll tag Lisa.
Hello. Yeah, I'm checking out. Well, yeah, I kind of obviously just mentioned my kind of take is that I kind of already know that you kind of need to kind of judge the situation. So, yeah, sorry, I don't really have anything else to add, to be honest with you.
Who are you tagging,
Um,
Lisa?
I tag Anthony.
Anthony's been.
I just shared,
Oh, is
sorry.
he? Sorry. Is Damien shared?
Damien?
Yeah, so I check out, very grateful for this session. I think it's been really illuminating. I found it very illuminating for a personal situation to say that I went through this weekend where I recognized that my conversation with my brother probably descended into me giving advice, solution that wasn't being asked for. And then later, probably in discussing it with my mother, probably went into some self-righteousness. I know what everyone needs to do. So, and that's, I guess, the danger with personal relationships. Also, just what came up for me just now was if you're an accountant and some family member comes up to you at a family event and says, "Can I have some tax advice?" You say, "Yeah, cool, make an appointment." But when we deal in compassion and empathy, people think they can tap into that all the time, and we feel we ought to give it all the time. But perhaps even with family members or friends, that little bit of professional boundary, yeah, sure, make an appointment, or I can refer you to a colleague, is perhaps the right thing to do for ourselves and them. All right.
Who are you tagging, Damien?
Oh, I'll tag Tom.
Yeah, check it out. Good. It's been really interesting listening to what everyone's got to say. Some good points, approaching different types of relationships. It's interesting what Liam said, about your suffering in response to their suffering and wanting to fix. But yeah, today's been good. I'm glad to be back. And yeah, looking forward to next week. Thank you.
Who are you tagging, Tom?
Who's
Liam or
Liam?
yeah, Liam.
I thought that was a great conversation to have. Seemed rather timely. My partner's sister is considering that their uh, mother has just passed away. She's gone to drink in order to kind of think deal with the pain. We can't say at the moment that she's in some sort of alcoholic mode, but it certainly would seem like it, what she's doing. And so we just had this conversation over the weekend about how to not do something. And my partner is not in is doesn't have any sort of an addiction that she's dealing with. But it was something I also forgot to add was that the best thing that we can do for our friends and family is to be in recovery. And that's, I think it's the best thing that we can do. All the advice in the world, but just be in recovery and stay in recovery.
Thanks, Liam. And I am checking.
Okay.
Is anyone else to check out? Is anyone else to check out? Sorry. I'm sorry, Liam. I don't know if I cut you off there. Sorry, pal.
I think we've got everybody.
Is everybody checked out? If so, we will take a 5 minute break. Should we come back at 11:10 and then we'll hand over the session to Damien? Is that okay? All right, guys. We'll see you at 11:10. Quick cup and then back for Damien's session. See you soon, guys.
Thank you.
KK's in the room.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Liam. Sorry I'm late.
No, we're just on the second half. Let me KK. So Damien's going to take this half.
Okay.
I mean, David Collins is in Middlesbrough in England. He's doing a training course with recovery connections. So Damien's going to take this session. Just to let you know.
Hi, KK. Good to see you.
Good to
Yeah.
see you too. Lovely.
Good.
Yeah. It's nice to see some familiar faces again.
Very good. Just wait for the others to join. Has everyone got a coffee? Had a coffee? Maybe people are in recovery from coffee. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I spent a couple of years ago, I did 3 months without caffeine.
Ooh.
And it after the initial headaches, it was amazing. My energy levels were better, my sleep was
Really?
better, my mind was still and calm. But I went back to it because I like the lift.
Don't pick up the first coffee, Damien. Don't.
There's nothing better.
It's a relapsing on my coffee.
Right. Lisa, are you there?
I am indeed.
All right. Very good.
Sorry, let me put my video on.
Great. All right. Okay. Welcome back. So very good. So let's follow the same structure as we did before and as we always do. We'll start with a check-in. Yeah, I'm checking in with my coffee, feeling quite, and I thought the last session was really good session. I thought that was a terrific topic that Jamal brought, and I got a lot from hearing people share. And it seemed like something, that everyone had some personal experience of, and even current experience of, and so that was really great. So I feel really good about last session, and interested to see what is going to come up this hour. So I will tag Anthony.
Yeah, I think intrigued to what the next hour brings. The last session was good, enlightening. So I'm looking forward to the next hour. I will tag Jamal.
Thanks, Anthony. Yeah, checking in, feeling a little bit more positive than I did checking in for the first session, and a little bit, I would say, reassured on my position and how I feel moving forward with that topic. And I would like to tag Liam.
Am I unmuted? I am good, enlivened by the previous conversation, I would say. That was, again, a reminder of how important it is to stay in the observing mode when it comes to family and friends, and offer a listening ear, but not fix. I feel it was an enlivening conversation for me. I will tag Tom.
Yeah, checking in. I'm feeling right. I will tag Lisa.
Hello. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing some coaching in a minute. I'm really out of the loop at the minute with that, so it will be good to kind of reignite that bit. So I'm kind of looking forward to that next bit, to be honest with you. I'm kind of multitasking as well here, so sorry. I am listening and I'm very, you know, kind of taking it all in. But as I say, I'm kind of multitasking too. So, but yeah, looking forward to doing some counselling, not counselling, coaching. Just testing.
Who do you tag, Lisa?
La 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 la. Charlie.
I think that's it. Oh, there's one more.
Thanks, Lisa. I am checking in, looking forward to this session. That was a good first session, actually. I learned loads, actually, off of that, my first session. So I'm really, really looking forward to this next session. I'll tag Chris.
Yeah, looking forward to this session. The last one were really good. So many different dimensions or ways of looking at it. Yeah. So I'll tag Kiki.
Hi, KK. I'm checking in, feeling I'm really grateful, a little disorientated, and yeah, curious to learn.
Very good. So I think that's everyone. Yeah, I'm conscious, KK, that everyone is saying how great the last session was, and you've just come in and you don't know what was discussed. So perhaps that's why you're feeling disoriented, or perhaps it's something else. But we had a session, the last session Jamal brought to the container that about some how to deal with personal relationships that may be in addiction, and how to use these skills or separate these skills when talking, you know, in a personal or a professional context, essentially. So people brought different experiences that they'd had. As I said, many of us have current situations, of course, where we know people who are in addiction or in crisis, and we were discussing how we detach ourselves perhaps emotionally from it, don't get too involved, don't try to fix, refer to colleagues or other professionals or signpost, but ultimately recognize that that we can't wade in and fix everyone. So I guess that's a sort of summary of what was discussed, but that was the sort of the ballpark of the discussion. Anyway. So contracting, we've got about another 40 minutes or so. So I guess about a half-hour discussion on whatever the container wishes the agenda to be, and then a 10-minute checkout at the end. If anyone has any thoughts or ideas of what they might want to bring. I heard Lisa say, I'm looking forward to doing some coaching in the next bit. So I wondered whether there was something there that she was expecting or wanting or needing that we might look at.
Nothing specific, just the. As I say, I've been out the loop for a little while, so it will be. I've been doing the study bit and stuff, and only just come back onto the group, so it'd be good to actually do some, you know, get back into a bit of a swing of things.
Yeah. And I'm also conscious that Anthony, this is Anthony's second session with in the container, but also first as a signed up, as it were.
Yeah, maybe not put us together then.
Member, yeah. Well, I'm not sure. So unless I misunderstand, I don't know if we're going to do necessarily coaching practice in this session.
Oh, okay.
The normally with the community of practice, it's a relatively loose structure where we get used to the framework. So we have our check-in, contract, and oh god, what's the third C? Someone?
Container.
And container. We build the container, we do the check-in, and we contract, and then we look at I guess the 3 A's, which is from the client side, is agenda, accountability, and action points and accountability. So we're trying to frame in a kind of group context the coaching framework, the coaching conversation, and get used to that. So the last discussion, I thought personally, was a really great example of that. Charlie kind of set up the container, set up the contract, we ordered our check-in, and then Jamal brought an agenda. We discussed it all. I suppose we didn't necessarily come up with action points and accountability, but perhaps each of us perhaps have absorbed something, and maybe that's something that we are going to then take into our world. So yeah, I don't know if there's something that in this session someone wants to bring that we can chew over. Anthony, how are you feeling about the framework, the container as it is today?
Yeah, I think it's good. It's interesting. You know, similar. I think similar to the treatment center I was in, it wasn't 12-step. So but I was holding these, being in a container 3 times a day in group session, as well as one-on-one. You know, so feels good to be back in it, safe space to share and be vulnerable.
Yeah, good.
And I guess one thing maybe I don't, you know, I guess managing triggers is something that, you know, I don't know if anyone's watched Adolescence on Netflix, the new TV show. I got some friends recommended watching it, and it's an interesting topic. But in the opening scene, I didn't know what to expect. I hadn't read about it. The armed police storm into their house and arrest their child. And that happened to me for quite a few, not quite a few, a few times growing up, you know, and I think it was very triggering and caught me very off guard, you know, I don't watch TV a lot, but this sounded like it was an interesting topic of what's happening online for children, and I have an 8-year-old. And, you know, I guess I'm living my life and keeping, as I said, risk assessing my relationships and my situations to make sure that I'm protecting myself. But, you know, that was a bit of an unexpected trigger, you know, it brought back a lot of memories for me. You know, I got into a lot of trouble in the area that I lived in as a child, and I think, yeah, like how I guess managing my triggers. Well, you know, in the treatment center I was in Thailand, so it was a lot of, you know, breath work and meditation and more holistic side of things. But when you're in it, it's still, you know, when you're triggered, it's still a trigger, and you have those natural reactions. You know, it took me right back to being in my bedroom and police officers pinning me down. You know, I think it's a funny thing, the triggers, and everyone deals with it differently. So it'd be good to understand that, to see if there's anything that I could take away for my benefit, I guess, you know, of how to manage triggers when they do occur. Because I guess when you listen to the podcasts and your therapist, triggers can be turned into gifts in your recovery. And I guess the process of how people process triggers.
Interesting. So, Anthony, what I'm hearing is that maybe there's two sort of sides to this. One is the sort of safeguarding, as you say, the kind of risk assessing and avoiding triggers, or and managing that side of things. And then the other is once you're triggered and you're in some kind of emotional response, how do people manage their emotions or their responses or their reactions? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Has anyone got anything to bring to respond to the topic?
It's a bit, for me, it's a bit of a challenging area because triggers lend right into trauma, and trauma is a difficult topic to work through. I'm not trauma trained. I understand trauma significantly, but I wouldn't say I'm a trauma trained person. Like I haven't gone through any specific academic training, but triggers are trauma based, and we need to understand that that's it now. Like that's kind of buried in our coding, our genetic expression, so to speak. I think, Anthony, or what you said about breath work, that seems to be the breath work and meditation are almost the number two go-tos, the number one go-tos. I use that regularly in my life when I feel triggered, and I have two triggers that are going off on a regular basis now at the moment, because I have a partner in the Netherlands, so we are having a long distance relationship, and so I got a couple of triggers around that sort of relationship and being distant from a person. I know exactly where they come from. I know I can tell you the time of day that the trauma was created, that's producing the trigger, and it is a time process. For me, I don't find it as something I manage. It's something I've come to it now, or it's something I observe, because I know it's not me as a human being. And but I do use the breath work and meditation as a part of the process. But to recognize that it is a trauma response to an event or a series of events that occurred, and to acknowledge that that is the case. That is the trauma response to I mean, it's a series of steps. You manage it with breath. I do manage it with breath work and moving my body. So somatic work, breath work, and meditation. Those are the three things. But acknowledging that it comes from a trauma, it is a trauma response. It is related to an event or a series of events, and it has a story attached to it that we created. And then over time, especially with the observation, what I found is when I allow it to be there and just observe that it's happening in my body. It's not me. I know that now. It's a trigger. It's something that's happened in my past. So it's not me. It's in my body and it's happening. So if I just look at it and just acknowledge that it's there, over time, it's actually gone down. Before, I couldn't even work. If one of these two triggers were triggered, or one of these two trauma responses were triggered, I couldn't even, my whole frontal cortex would completely shut down. I couldn't think, I couldn't work, I couldn't have phone calls with my clients. This is when I was back in the US. And it was very disabling for me. But now it's, oh, I see you. Okay. And then I do a couple of, I have a jumping thing I do, jump up and down, and I do some breath work while I'm doing the jumping. I shake my body. I take 2 deep breaths. And that kind of reassesses. Then I sit down and I just observe it. And which has been an extraordinary practice for me.
Thanks, Liam. Liam, you've frozen. Oh, there you are. Yeah.
Could I ask
there's something wrong with my video today. I don't know what it is.
Could I ask Liam a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, Liam, when you were talking about triggers there, you mentioned them jumping up and down, and I was like, oh, that makes sense, but I've never done it. I mean, what is the kind of relationship between that? Because I'm like, oh, that makes sense, but I need to know more.
There is a relationship between the body movement and memory and traumas. So if when you're doing that shaking like that, like I'll give you a demonstration. Let's see if I can. Let's see here. I'll back up. So the one that I do is I'm just.
Yeah.
What I do. And what it does is it brings you out of your brain and into your body. So you're short-circuiting in a way the trigger. So the trigger is while it's happening in the body, your brain is contemplating it over and over again. It's just cycling. So it brings you out of your brain and it interrupts the trigger process. And movement helps us get our energy system, our chakra energy system moving again. And so as it starts to move again, the trauma itself starts to settle and the trigger then starts to settle in our energetic system. So that's the relationship to all of these things. There's a brain cycle in our head. Once the trigger occurs, the brain has a map in it that maps to that event, the past event, and a feeling that we have, and then it just cycles it. What? And the way to break that cycle is to get into some sort of movement. Deep breath work. By the way, nitrous oxide, when you do breath work, it triggers nitrous oxide as the breath, you take a deep breath in through your nose and it increases nitrous oxide, nitrous oxide can bridge the blood vessel brain gap, adds more oxygen to your brain. That's another thing that helps it settle down, pulls out of the dopamine system and down into a little bit more oxytocin and serotonin in your gut region starts to get produced, which are happy drugs. The right kind of happy drugs that we want to have in our body, not the other happy drugs.
Thank you, Liam. Thank you very much for that.
Great.
Yeah.
I'll just jump in. I've become very interested and curious about somatic practices, meaning kind of physical practices, so movement, meditation, breath work. I think there's some really amazing research around trauma and where it sits in the body and how it sits in the body and releasing that. What also came up for me as Anthony and then Liam were talking is thinking about our coaching framework, the Collins coaching window, and where coaching sits in relation to other professionals. And I was thinking that so we have coaching, and then we have sort of peer support, which might be 12 steps or other smart recovery, and whatever sponsorship or mentorship takes place here. We have medicine, psychiatry, which maybe sits here, and we have the sort of biosocial, psychosocial, which is kind of therapy and counseling, and the different these different roles within someone's recovery support are not substitutes for one another. And when it comes to a client with trauma or a sponsee with trauma that maybe comes out in the work, that might be a good example of the need for a referral. So counselors and psychotherapists are trained over many years to deal with serious trauma. And this might be, if that comes up, I know certainly in my sponsor-sponsee relationship, when real you know, when trauma from the past comes up in someone's step 4, for those of you that know what the steps are about, that is an example of, okay, this is something to take to outside help. This is something to take to a professional. So that was something that came up for me. Also, it's interesting, Anthony, that you brought up TV program, because you know, yes, I can find people, places, and things I can find triggering in my everyday life, but TV is the one where suddenly it's in my living room, you know, and people are different, right? Like my former partner loved watching programs about addiction, loved watching, you know, you know, right from the earliest days in recovery, he enjoyed watching programs about addicts. You know, and I've never enjoyed that. I find, you know, even when there's a narrative arc, like I find it incredibly triggering watching the bit where they're having fun, and then I find it pretty horrendous watching the bit when they're not, you know. And so I just kind of avoid those kind of programs, to be honest. It's not my thing. I was really surprised last year. There was a program. It was a program about prison. Sean Bean, he was a teacher being sent to prison. He didn't have any kind of background in crime or anything, and he was suddenly sent to prison, and it was very real. And it took me straight back to an episode of my life when I was 19 years old, and I hadn't even thought about that for ages. It was so buried, and it was like this. And I, you know, again, you know, I kind of watched it like a rabbit in the headlights, but I just didn't watch the next episode, you know. Like I avoid, I don't know, like I don't want it in my living room. I want it in my therapy room. I don't want it in my living room. But yeah. Lisa.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of echo what you just said, to be honest with you. It's something I've always been really conscious of as well. Especially like other people, they kind of like want to give me self-help books and books around addiction and, you know, those kind of things. And I kind of really, I suppose consciously I give them a wide berth. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't, but I kind of read a lot. And I don't want to, I do find sometimes it becomes all consuming, the addiction part. And for me, that's very unhealthy. And I suppose that's where when you're a bit further into your recovery, you have a few more strategies in place, and you kind of know the stuff that helps you and what doesn't help you. So I do think sometimes being around it all the time is kind of, as I say, all consuming, and it becomes like I get a little bit resentful, and I'm like, well, that's not just what I'm about. There's more to me than this. And it's kind of then it's defining you. But I also know the other side of that, where it's been said to me that, oh, well, you're avoiding it, and but I thought, I'm not. I just kind of need to have a detachment as well, because there are other elements to my life. And like I say, I'm not defined by my addiction issues. And I think it's kind of, I think at the outset, you're kind of looking for any help you can possibly get. And like watching stuff on telly and books and all those kind of things can be helpful. But I think when you're a little bit further into it, obviously where we guys are looking at the coaching and stuff now, we're probably in a bit more of a position to be able to, like you've just said, Damien, you kind of know what you like and what helps you, or, you know, feeds you, that kind of thing. But yeah, I actively avoid it, and not because I'm in denial or anything like that, but purely because it's kind of like I don't need it put in my face all the time. So yeah, that's kind of where I am with it, and it's quite refreshing to hear that, because sometimes in a fellowship it's like, yeah, well, you're avoiding. I definitely am not. I know the deal.
Yeah, I like that, Lisa. That's, you know, the difference between avoidance and denial, you know, or yeah, is that's, I like that. Tom, you were going to come in?
Nothing to add really at the moment.
Does anyone else have something to share on the topic?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I really
I'm
relate.
pretty much. Oh, I'm sorry, KK, man, you go first.
Thank you so much. I can really relate to what you're sharing, Damien, around like not liking movies about like recovery and stuff. Like I love murder mysteries. I love like crazy like stories about people getting mass murdered and all that stuff. Like that shit I can fall asleep to. But like stuff around recovery, oh my gosh, it just puts me in such a spin. And like the interpersonal connection, like relationships and stuff, it's like, like let me just breathe. So I can really relate to that. So I've been doing another course along with this, well, along with starting this course around somatic experiencing, and that is a psychobiological method of releasing trauma and stress from the body. And Liam kind of was like really on the mark around what he was talking and what he was sharing in his own experience. That it is around like getting yourself like stopping that narrative and getting yourself back to the present moment. Like I'm not in that moment right now. I'm actually safe at home in my bed, lying comfortably with my back supported by my pillows, and beautiful sun is out there, and like actually just looking at the space that you're around and realizing that you're not where that memory is taking you. And what I also found really helpful was having resources, or even in the moment, because you might not have your teddy bear in the session with you, but having like looking around you and realizing, okay, well, currently this pillow is really supporting my back, and I can actually just relax into it. And there's this beautiful little blue blanket, and suddenly everything around me is blue. But there's this fluffy blue blanket. When I feel a little bit chilly or if I feel a bit anxious, I can just hold it tight and just, be with it in that moment. And it's kind of like what we kind of did with what I did with substances, is that looking for that thing that's going to help me. But instead of looking for it in like things that will eventually like eat away at me, it's noticing the resources that will help me in a positive way. Like, yeah. So yeah, thank you for sharing. It's been great to listen to everyone's opinions and thoughts. Thanks.
Thanks,
Uh,
KK.
I'm pretty much the same. I used to love watching TV. I had Netflix, I had Prime, I had your dodgy stick, I had everything that I could watch. Really, but what I didn't know, it was just to distract me from my feelings and my emotions. I didn't realize that at the time. And the more that I've come into recovery, I don't watch anything that's not going to serve me. My brain just won't allow me now. So I love watching podcasts. I love anything that's spiritual or mystical. I'm in. Honestly, I don't know what it is because I've never been mystical in my life. But the more that I've walked into recovery, man, you only have to mention mystic and I am off. My brain is off like a car in a bonnet, honestly. It's like, and then I watch these different podcasts and then it takes me into anything about consciousness as well. Stop the world. I'm watching it. Consciousness, levels of consciousness, spirits, awareness, Hermeticism, Buddha, anything at all. It's like, and I was never interested in that in my whole entire life. And so I don't really watch a great deal of TV, like any soaps or whatever else. My brain just won't allow it now. And reading as well. I was never a reader, but now like I can't get enough words into me. It's like my brain just wants to soak in formation. It's my brain went, right, you've had 46 years out, let's make up for it for the last 2.5 years. And my brain has just been turned into this sponge of information. And then I get annoyed because sometimes I can't retain the information I want to retain, because there's like so much going in. Why can I not retain all this? It's like, well, just give yourself a break, Charlie. You've only been well a couple of years, you can't fit 46 years into 2 years. But for me, it's just the ability to grow. That ability to growth, that ability to just like, watch a podcast and just go, I am taking this in, and I'm not just watching something to distract me. I'm actually watching something that my brain really enjoys. It's not just for my eyes, this first I'm layer. My brain's actually soaking this in. And sometimes the past a few days I've been waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning because of my personal life, because of my family and stuff. So I wake up and if I'm still awake for 5 minutes, I know I'm awake. That's me, man. That's me for the day. So I will get up and I'll just watch a podcast, and and then I'll just gently fall back asleep, and my brain somehow man likes that. So for me, at the moment, it's I'm kind of feeding my brain the good stuff instead of feeding my brain all the bad stuff. All that my negative programs and films and slash horrors I used to watch, this stuff that didn't really serve me. Um, I don't know if I just ranted there or whether I was just telling you my story, but I just had to share that shit.
What I'm hearing, Charlie, is how our tastes and interests can really change in recovery, actually. And and also from what Lisa said, is I have a friend of mine who says to me, Damien, stop living like a drug addict. It's like I can completely check, some of the things that I might have wanted to watch or listen to, or the kind of places I might wanted to have hung out, has changed now. Like people, all the staying up, binge watching something till 2 in the morning, or whatever. This is not the behavior of a well person. So I can change that, and so yeah.
Thanks, guy.
So a question that I would ask then to come back to Charlie. Do you feel that the recovered you is the real you, the interest now that you have, the way that you have an appetite for taking information in and knowledge and just changing how your sort of life is? Would you say that that is um the real you that's come out, rather than the person that you was before in addiction isn't the real you?
I'd love to answer that. Absolutely 1,000, 1,000,000%. The person that you see now is the person that's the real authentic him and Charlie. I had hid me for my whole life. I'd hid me in whatever whatever could soothe me, man, whether it be drugs, drink, sex, whatever. Friendships. I would give 10% to everything and no percent to me. So no one even knew me, and I didn't know me. So the person that I'm finding now, and I suppose, man, this is why I'm so passionate, is because, man, for the first time in my life, I've started to really find me, and my brain, and I kind of use this, and my brain went, ah, finally, finally, now we can get back and do some fucking work, because whenever my
Yeah.
brain went on, I was terrified. I was just terrified. So I would drink and I would smoke and I would snort and I would, because I went up. And then when I walked into recovery, and I really, it was maybe like after about 6 months in recovery, my brain went, now we can get back and do something together. So I quite like that. So I've got this man kind of harmonious that I just center myself. Whenever something's about out, I'll just center myself and I'll just ask myself this man question, what's been going on? And I normally get the right answer, but yeah, the answer to your question is this is definitely me, and my brain is it's like my brain is like my brain is like telling me, but my stomach is my rudder, and they kind of connect harmoniously when it's right. And if my brain and if if my brain and my stomach don't align, then it's not really me. It may be me, man, for a week or two, but it won't be it. And then if I watch something like spiritual or whatever, they just align, they go in the line, and I'll know instantly. I'll know instantly. I've just came across a chap called Ken Wilber, the
Mm, mm.
integral model. Now I've just came across all these different models because I'm getting into the history, man, of recovery coaching, starting with the Minnesota model, the Minnesota model, and then harm reduction, the biopsychosocial, and all that stuff. Anyway, my brain and my stomach went, and I knew straight away I was in. I was in it. And when I got up this morning, the first thing I did is I put on this Ken Wilber podcast for an hour and a half because my brain went, you're in. And they just magnetically come you together. I've never had that in my life because everything was all out of balance and skewed. And recovery has really gave me the chance to finally be that magnetic, harmonious force that I instantly know when I'm attracted to something. I hope that answered your my question.
Yeah,
You know, if you don't mind, Jamal, for same for me, as my recovery process or journey, I found the same thing. And what I found was that this isn't a me that I like to say this wasn't a me that I needed to discover. It was a me I needed to uncover. The me is that this me has, and I'm exactly the same, Charlie. Everything spiritual in my life. There's nothing that I watch. I don't watch anything that doesn't have anything to do with my spiritual life, my spiritual journey. It's everything I do. All of the work I do is all oriented around that. But it's what I realized is that I was uncovering it. It was always there, but it was covered by layers and layers and layers of lies that I told myself and stories that I told myself about who I was and who I am and how bad of a person I was. And all these stories, I just piled them on top from all kinds of different places and different experiences and lies that people told me about who I was. And what I've been doing is I've been uncovering, I've been throwing them away. I'm just like, no, that's not true. That's not me. That's not me. And the closer I got to the real me, the more authentic I felt, the more authentic I became. And then I started to align with that authenticism. And then my world just completely opened up for me.
I think it's interesting because actually, I think we all go through a massive period when we're going through, like getting into recovery and stuff, and we do learn a lot about ourselves. Whereas maybe we didn't know certain things, we'd never looked at ourselves as deeply as we do probably when we're trying to, get into recovery, stay there, identify what our triggers are, all of those things that led us there in the first place. I think is a massive, we go through a massive learning curve, and it's pretty amazing, really. And lots of people will probably never have to do what we've had to do and understand themselves as well as we probably do now. And I suppose, like Charlie said, it's really refreshing to hear how he's kind of visually animated about how, how he's really interested in this now. And, it kind of leads him down other rabbit holes and stuff like that, which is amazing. I just think we have so much more insight than a lot of normies, so to speak, now.
I'm conscious that we're coming to the end of our time, and we need to start a checkout process. For the checkout process, the invitation is to think about how you're feeling, about what you've heard. Jamal, you've asked a question, and interesting to know how you feel about that. Anthony, also you brought the topic, and interested to hear if you feel like it's been addressed. And I suppose the other invitations I would add is some level of personal action and accountability. Maybe there are some of the topics and themes that have come out of this discussion are, for example, the kind of somatic theories and trauma in the body and somatic practice that might pique someone's interest, or yeah, some of this discussion around what we watch, what we consume, or discussion around discovering ourselves. So any of these things maybe bring up some kind of personal action and accountability for next week. But anyway, who wants to start the checkout process? Well, maybe we start with Anthony because he brought the topic.
Yeah, I think it was good to hear everyone's insights, and I think my mom actually bought my TV when she came to stay. I didn't have a TV for a long time, and I think since I'd I'd go and watch a movie, but I'd make a day of it and go to the cinema, and do it that way. Music's always kind of been a medicine for me through the dark times. And yes, it's just a funny thing, I guess it's a good reminder that there's a reason why I've never watched a lot of TV, and I think it's good to hear how people, around the triggers as well. I think, well, I do the probably not as much as I should be at the minute, but the breathing and the meditating, and I'm a qualified sound healing therapist, and so I meditate a lot with sound bowls, and I guess it's just a good reminder that I need to do more of it. Actually a bowl right next to me.
Oh.
And I think, yeah, it's just a good reminder that I do the journaling and I've got a whole routine, but the one thing that is slipping in my daily routine is the meditating, and it's reminding myself to make space for that because it does work. But yeah, I feel good. This is my first session as a fully enrolled, so it's been good and insightful, and I'm looking forward to being here. Thank you, guys. Do I need to tag someone?
Yeah.
I will tag KK.
Yeah, KK checking out, feeling really grateful. And I don't know, somewhat reassured in this journey and in what I'm learning as well. Like I'm not just learning bullshit, that other people are also saying similar things, Yeah. It's so funny that you mentioned sound baths because I was literally thinking of the same thing. I wanted to do a journey. I think will be really good. Yeah. Thanks. I would like to tag Charlie.
Thanks, Kiki. I'm checking out feeling relaxed. It's been a good couple of sessions. I was especially intrigued by what Liam was saying about that man jumping up and down with being triggered. I was especially because I was the most triggered I've ever been on Friday with my family. And my dad had had a stroke. My brother and sisters went off the cliff with their addiction. And I was sitting on Friday night like, like this. So I was really interested when they started talking about that, my movement, that my calisthenics was it. So I was really interested in that. So that's something that's another wee rabbit hole to go down. But yeah, I'll see you on next Tuesday, and I will tag Tom.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Good to be back. It's been a lot of relatable stuff and been interesting. Thank you.
You going to tag someone, Tom? Oh. Okay, Tom tags Jamal.
Thanks. Yeah, checking out. A very good session today. I think I've learned a lot, and it's good to see how much we all relate to each other and our experiences. And sort of just to add on to the follow-up from the question that I asked Charlie as well, that I also do agree that the version of you when you're recovered, it does feel more like you who you always were. During addiction, it does feel like we try to please others, we're hiding things, and yeah, I can't. There's more that I want to say, but I can't really think. It's almost like there's too much that I want to say, so it's actually sort of I've seized up. But I'm in agreement with what Charlie said there, and yeah, I'm happy that I came in today, because after the week that I had, I really just wasn't really feeling it. But that's why it's always important to put aside how you're feeling, and just because you're a bit upset or you don't feel well, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be involved. And having a community like this sort of helps you, props you up and supports you how you're feeling. And not to go on your show, and to be willing to share as well. And that's how I like to check out. And is there anyone else to tag? I can't see the screen properly, sorry.
You can tag Liam.
Liam, yeah.
I'm going to say I'm feeling enlivened again. It was a great topic. Thank you, Anthony and Jamal, for adding what you added in terms of inquiry and yeah, feeling enlivened. And I'll tag Lisa.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, feeling good. It's good conversations. Good to kind of connect with you guys. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Is there anyone else other than Damien?
I think it's just me. So yeah, just check out. I'm very grateful to have been asked to facilitate the session. I've really enjoyed doing it. I've really enjoyed the discussions, really enjoyed what we've discussed and what I've heard today. Lots to think about. And yeah, my action item, I think, for this week is to think a little bit again about some somatic practices and responses. My body, as I said at the beginning, is telling me at the moment, all my warning systems are going. And so I've got to think a little bit about how I look after myself this week. And crack on with the work with the modules. So there we go.
Cracking on.
Okay, everyone. See you on Tuesday.
See you next week, guys. Crack on, Damien. Crack on.
Crack on.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Anthony, you crack on as well, brother. Oh, he's gone. See you all later, guys.
Cheers, Charlie.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.